Welcome back to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast where two friends,
I'm Tamara Golden.
and I'm Danielle Whiteside, tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments that we knew better but did it anyway. Each week we share real stories about our lives, about the times that life surprised us, stretched us, or just straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And this season, you've journeyed with us with regards to how we do ships. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sportsmanship.
Okay, I'm interested in this conversation.
Yeah, but before we get started, how was your week?
It's been straight. I don't even know why I said that.
Wow.
No, it's been really good. I had a real breakthrough with school. I was looking for your dissertation committee, you have to have three people. You have your chair, your second reader, and your third reader. In my program, the third reader was a person that I got to pick, but my chair kind of vetoed my first one. He wasn't like, no, but he was like, I think you can find somebody different. And so it took me a while, but I finally did land someone, and she's stellar. I basically have a celebrity on my committee. Ooh. So this is amazing. And she's going to lend so much credibility to my study. So like I've been riding high this week.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
that's great. Great news.
Yeah. So what about you? What you been up to?
You know, it's been a good week. So typical, a lot of people know this about me, is I'm just always that person. Like, if there's something to do, I will find it. I've gotten to the point in life to where I no longer prioritize people that see me as an option. Mm-hmm. So I've just started, if I see something that I really want to do, I might say, Danelle, do you want to do it? Or Danelle, I'm doing it this time. And if you say yes, you say no, I'm going to go ahead and buy my ticket. Regardless. You can join me if you want. I'm rolling. So this was actually, literally, I was sitting at my desk working. At 4:30, I get a call from one of my dear girlfriends. She's like, hey, you want to do something, live on the edge? And I'm like, live on the edge? Girl, it ended up being going to a concert. But I'm like, that is not living on the edge. But I saw Toni Braxton.
Oh, you went to New
Edition and Boys to Men out, like, literally it's 4:30. I'm still working. I was supposed to be by her house at 6:15, but I got caught up into work because it was like 5:30. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd already showered and stuff, so I just needed to change because, of course, I wasn't planning on going to see them. So I did that, and here's what I make it akin to. It's kind of like my parents going to see the Temptations or the OJs or something like that, because I'm like, I knew every word, every doo-wop, doo-doo-doo. I knew every single word. But Danelle, I looked down. I kid you not.
Wait a minute. What happened?
I saw this man, and I saw a lone tear rolling down his face. And Toni Braxton was singing, but it wasn't Unbreak My Heart. Like, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
He was seeing her.
So it was a great weekend.
I bet all the aunties were out for that.
Oh, if there was somebody who was like out on workers' comp acting like they couldn't dance and couldn't move and all that, if you would have been an investigator at that concert.
That is such a lawyer thought.
I never thought about that. That's a good point. So it was great.
Yeah, I had cousins who went. I didn't go. I've seen New Edition many times. If you've ever been to Essence Festival, they're like frequent flyers. And
with Bobby?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, sometimes he was there.
Okay.
Most time he was there.
Okay.
And then I am straight on seeing Toni Braxton, and I've seen Boyz II Men. So I was like, yeah. Oh, I don't know why, but I know y'all had a good time because they all put on a good show.
It wasn't on my to-do list, like, at all.
Yeah.
But when I was just so glad to be there. I was like, man, I kicked it with y'all. Like, I kicked it with y'all hard. I'm saying when Bobby Brown had the
Gumby.
Ramp. Yes.
Not the ramp.
Yeah, skateboard ramp haircut. Yeah, I mean, I kicked it. I'm
glad you had that experience of living on the edge.
I'm like,
auntie style.
I'm like, this is not living on the edge. This is my day to day.
Totally not living on the edge. But
anyway.
All right. So how do you do sportsmanship? And I'm going to say you because, honey, Not over here.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you probably do sportsmanship because we play games all the time.
Okay.
So you do sportsmanship in a lot of different ways. And so for all of you who are just listening.
Wait, yes, because you got to give them what you got.
That's right. Today, I am wearing Dyersburg High School Letterman jacket. That's right. You see the D, you see the basketball. I don't know why I played 4 sports. I don't know why they didn't give me all the other sports. But anyway, I'm wearing my original Letterman jacket.
It still fits.
And it still fits. And I got some room.
You got some room.
I still got it.
You still got it.
But I want to say congratulations to the Dyersburg High School Lady Trojans, who are basketball champs. They won the state championship.
Congratulations, Lady Trojans.
Yeah, so way to go, repping my city. So, sportsmanship fits right in. And just so you know, I had this topic before I knew they won. So, it happens. Look at God.
Synchronicity.
So sportsmanship, I think about sportsmanship in a lot of different ways. And so I'm glad you said the obvious, which is I'm going to talk to a little bit about when it comes to sports. But we use it all the time in various parts of the world and how we interact with just winning and losing.
Yeah.
Or even a tie. Like a lot of times it's how the manner in which we acknowledge defeat.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes winning too.
Absolutely. And that is an act of humility that some of us have, some of us don't. We actually talked about this a little bit, totally unrelated, a little while ago. But so sportsmanship is a lot. So for me, though, the way in which I learned how to win and how to lose is in many ways through sports. I remember my first sport was soccer, and I was also very competitive. Sometimes can be confused with mean, but I was both. So I know that there's a difference.
You were mean and competitive.
I was mean and competitive. So
they hated to see you coming.
Oh, they did. Period. Point blank. Drop the mic. So I played soccer, and I remember early, and soccer was literally my first sport. Mm-hmm. And it was co-ed, and it tends to be co-ed for the most part, even today. And I remember we were losing, and I was mad because I wanted the ball. And I made a conscious decision to shoot for the ball, but aim for the shin. So I knew how to do it, and I made a conscious decision to do it, and I remember it. And I remember Tim Cole. Sorry, Tim Cole. That's whose shin I kicked.
You kicked your foot kicked his
shin intentionally.
Oh, wow.
He had shin guards on, but it was intentional. And that was the way in which I can get the ball. And so I literally kicked him in the shin. And that, at the time, it felt smart and it felt strategic.
Did you get a penalty?
I probably, I don't remember that part. But the part that I do remember is I felt bad about it. That was one moment that I was mad because we were down. I was mad because I wasn't the person kicking the ball. I came up with a solution. And at a young age, I was probably 7. And I remember this vividly. And I remember that it was Tim Cole. That's how bad I felt about it, that I remember it. But so that's the first time that I learned that that I didn't like unfair advantages. And I learned that I didn't like to win at all costs. So that's my first sportsmanship reality, is that it's one thing to win. Unfair advantage, that's not my jam. Winning at all costs, not my jam.
This is what Nene Leakes said. You can't win when you play dirty.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what Nene Leakes said.
Well, and she's right. Well, actually, you can win when you play dirty, but it surely doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I think about is, so everybody knows I have many nephews, and 2 of them are experiencing sports. Well, one of them experienced basketball for the first time this year. and his team lost. And it was, oh my gosh. It was very traumatic for his team to lose. And
his team or just him?
This is him.
Okay.
Yeah, his team lost, and some kids are skipping down the court. Some kids don't even know they lost. But it was very traumatic for him. And I was just saying, like, I won a lot, but I didn't win every time I played the sport. And I was just talking to his mom, and I was like, I was a really poor sport when I lost. And so it started the conversation of, really? I was like, absolutely. And I remember what broke me from that. My second sport was softball. And a lot of people who know me know that I was a really, really good softball player. Like, I wasn't really good at soccer, but I was really good at softball, partly because I could bat left and I could bat right. I could throw. I could do a lot of the things having to do with softball. And in Dyersburg, softball was very competitive, and it still is probably kind of like what volleyball is today. It's becoming so really popular. Well, softball was that. And so you could start playing softball at a very young age, probably about 7 also. And what would start happening is my anger would start to escalate. Like, first it would start, if someone struck me out, I'd sling the bat. It started with something like that, and you get penalized for that. If someone caught my ball, if it was a pop-up fly and somebody caught my ball, I'd fling the bat. You get penalized for that. Then it started to escalate that if we lost a game, I would just go off. Like, I would just be crying, and I could not figure out how to lose by using my words and not actions. I couldn't figure it out. Oh, Chanela helped me figure that out. So I'll never forget, at this time I played for Hayes Food, and they were a local grocery store. So it's not like a Kroger chain or anything like that. And by all means, it's certainly not a commercial, but it was just a local grocery store. And we lost. Chanel said, look, sports are meant to be fun. You're crying, and this is not fun. I am not coming out here to watch you act a fool after every one of these losses. So the ultimatum came. If we get an outburst like this again, we will not be playing softball.
Go Chanela.
So I listened to her, and I was like, this has to be the meanest old woman in Dyersburg. But you want to know what it did? I can tell you what I was going to do. I was going to softball practice, and I was going to be on that team. So from then on, it's amazing what motivates kids. I then stopped flinging the bat. I stopped acting a fool after I lost the game. I stopped. It's something that clicked.
Were you being rewarded for having the emotional response? Because it just seems to me like if you could turn it off that easily, there was a reason why you were turning it on.
You don't get any, especially because, there was zero reward.
I'm just wondering how you, like.
And I just pouted, and I just acted a darn fool. But once I heard the consequence, I immediately turned it off. And what I realized is hindsight. I certainly didn't realize it at that time, but it really prepared me for the wins and the losses of life.
Yeah.
Because I then compartmentalized to like a win. Like, even if I lost, to me, in my brain, people were getting satisfaction from me losing. So then I wouldn't show it. Like, if I lost, you'd never know it. I mean, even to this day now, if I play a game, I'm just as well my reaction is the same whether I win or lose, because that's how, at a young age, I knew that I couldn't have an outburst of it. And so it just helped me to figure it out. Now, there are some friends that would say that maybe I still have some growing. We had this thing called Golden Games, And in order to get invited, I think y'all were out of town.
Yeah, we've been to one of them,
Okay.
but not any recent ones.
Yeah. So to get invited, you have to bring school supplies, and I end up donating all the school supplies to usually it's a women's shelter. But this first one, the inaugural, we have all kinds of sports. Like you play dodgeball. It's just an adult Olympics. Think of the last day of school for kids, except it's adults.
Or field day.
Field day. That's it. And so wacky ball. So we played kickball. One of the events was kickball, and everybody has pennies, and you separate into teams. This is probably like the fourth event, and it's kickball. Well, my cousin Chloe, this was there with my parents and wanted to participate. Now, these are grown folks. Hey, if you want to participate, then be ready. That's all. If these kids want to participate with grown folks, then you're going to get grown folk hit. So we were playing kickball, wacky kickball, and here comes Chloe.
How old is Chloe at this time?
I'm going to say 7 or 8.
Oh.
Maybe 6. Not older. She's definitely not older than 7, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Or maybe, I'm going to say not older than 8. It makes me feel a little better for what I did. Here comes Chloe. I already didn't want her to play because I told folks, I'm like, you can't bring your kids, and here we are with a kid.
Yeah.
So she kicked that ball. I caught that ball out already, but she still wants to run. Like she doesn't know the rules with this grown folks game. So then I tagged her out. And tagging out in kickball means
throwing the ball at her.
That ball.
Oh, Chloe.
So I'll say that.
Did she cry?
Okay. No, she's fine. But I'll say that to say that when it comes to sportsmanship, it's very difficult when you're at a certain age and you can't process it.
Yeah, we're going through that right now.
Yep. But as an adult, it really helps you recognize there's a humility piece, and you recognize like I'm not the best at everything. Other people can help me win also. Just going, like anybody who played a college sport, it's like, oh yeah, I was a lot in high school, best of the West, all kinds of stuff in high school, but I rode the bench in college.
Yeah.
Why? Because there were people that were better than me, and learning how to compartmentalize that and use that for your good is a great skill, and it's a great skill builder.
Yeah.
So you say you're going through it now?
Yeah. Shannon, my middle son, he is so competitive, and I think it comes from being that middle child or that second child and having an older sibling who often, takes stuff from you and, wants to one up you all the time, and they kind of get the upper hand. And so Shannon is scrappy. He's not letting anybody be him. He's not taking no stuff from nobody. So he very frequently, like if we do a lot of family games, like we'll do board games. So I remember recently we were playing a game and he was losing and he just starts like wiping the game off. So I guess he's like, if I can't win, none of us are going to play. And then just yesterday we went on a bike ride around our neighborhood, and my bike has an attachment to where Ronan can ride. And so I keep telling them, like, when I get my momentum, if I'm going up a hill, like I'm going to go because, the slower you go, the harder it is to get up that hill.
And Ronan's not light.
He is not. And then, so anyway, I was going up the hill and I passed him and he was like, stop, mommy, stop. Don't, he wanted to win. And so I was like, no, I'm going to keep going, buddy. So then he gets off his bike and he's running, trying to get past me. And so then he finally did pass me. And then we finally got to the house and he was like, I won. And I was like, no, this was about togetherness. This was not a race. So he really needs to work on that. Donovan will sometimes pout a little bit, but Shannon really is going to he gets upset if he doesn't win. And then I was trying to think about how I learned sportsmanship, even though I didn't play sports. And I remember my brother played basketball, and I'm telling you, when they would lose, I hated to be around that child because he was, everything. You couldn't say anything. without him catching the attitude or whatever. We'd have to ride home in silence from the game.
That's best.
And so I think I was just like, I don't want to be like that. Like, that just did not appeal to me. So I witnessed that for myself. And then I think I just had a healthy, I don't know. I am good at a lot of things, but I think I know reasonably I'm not the best at everything.
Yep.
I don't know where that comes from, but I know that in life, especially being in the field of law, where oftentimes you are, plaintiff versus defendant, or, petitioner versus respondent. Mm-hmm. And so when you're representing your client, you've got to win. Like, you have to have that winning mentality. Yep. But oftentimes the worst attorneys for me on the other side were the people who took it personally and didn't recognize that they were advocating on behalf of their client. I'm advocating on behalf of my client. I'm not advocating against you.
Correct.
And so, there's sometimes that you win a case, there's sometimes you lose a case, and you just have to move on. I always hated going up against opposing counsel who clearly couldn't separate that we were not fighting each other. You can be adversaries, but not adversarial. So again, I really don't know where that started. Like, you can point back to something in your childhood that helped you understand that. I don't really remember where that started, but it's important to take your wins and your losses with grace, because I didn't lose a lot when I was litigating. And, it would have been totally inappropriate for me to be like, to opposing counsel, like rubbing it in.
And when you think about it, law, with the exception of professional athletes, attorneys, at least litigators, always have an adversarial opponent.
Yeah.
Like it, and I can't think of anything else besides a professional athlete that has that day in and day out. And, I think another lesson that I remember learning is my dad was a referee, the worst referee in the United States. But
leave Mr. Marvin alone.
Awful. But one game, he fouled me out. He called 5 fouls on me.
And you deserved them, probably.
No, I didn't. But I did. I just remember I didn't even ride home with him. My mom had to come and pick me up. But I think the lesson I learned in that is, I think he just wanted me to know that he could do it. He could foul me out, number one. Number two, I think he had an extra idea of, he didn't want to seem that he was biased against his daughter.
Toward you.
Correct. But yeah, towards me. So I think he worked extra hard. So I say that to say, being a good sport really pays off, because you never know the intent behind anything that happens. You just don't know, and you got to be fine with not knowing.
Yeah, and I think that probably, or there was also a lesson in there, whether you learned it or not, that you have to work for your wins. Nobody's going to hand you anything.
No, I didn't get that lesson, and that wasn't the lesson, because we knew that, that's just life. No,
I mean, you might have thought, my daddy's referencing.
No, I didn't. I hated it. No, I didn't want him to ref that game anyway. I wanted Mr. Greg to ref that game. My dad's the worst ref in the United States. Anyway, enough of that. But I'm a good sport. Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, see, you learned something. And, we always are in position to learn.
I didn't learn it that day, though.
Well.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm glad you're a better sport now, even though you will hit a kid. I will say, whenever Tamara is playing with my boys, she's not going easy on them.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Because you got to learn. First of all, chances are I like to play, probably not at 100%, but 60%. I like to let them realize that losing is always, somebody's going to win, someone's going to lose. And it's great to learn that you're going to lose. And the other thing is, I want them to know that when they come at me, when they get bigger and really can beat me, I want them to remember, like, I had it when I had it. So,
Oh, one more thing. We and Donovan were playing tic-tac-toe at a restaurant the other week, and he was doing well. He won like the first 3 frames, and then after that he was losing. He was just like, "What? Why I don't want to play?" I was like, "No," I said, "I'm not going easy on you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to earn every win you have in this life."
That's right. That's right.
So, we're gonna move on to the "Will Be the Judge" segment. So this one, she did not give me permission to share her name. I don't even know if this is a man or woman. So, hey, Tamara and Danielle, I have a work question. My boss and coworkers will text me or email me after work hours. Nothing urgent, just regular stuff that could wait until the next day. I usually see it come through, and then I feel this pressure to respond right away, even though I'm at home with my family or trying to relax. If I don't respond, I feel guilty. If I do respond, I feel like I never get a break. So my question is it okay to wait until the next workday to respond, or am I supposed to always be available?
Man, this one, it's an easy question and a hard question because I've done it both ways. First off, I'll tell you what I wish I would have done. I've developed some bad habits that I've not shaken yet. But I wish that I would have started out figuring out a balance of what's a good team player, since we're talking about sportsmanship, what's a good team player, and recognizing those things that are urgent and those things that if I were in the other person's shoes would be urgent to me. I wish I would have done a better job at differentiating between the two and giving myself the agency to make that distinction. But I wasn't always very good at that, and I'm probably not great at it now. So I say a couple things that I have learned to do. First, I have learned to take a break from people's emergencies being mine. There was a time when I would respond immediately. I mean, immediately. Now, I'll wait a little bit, and sometimes people actually figure out the answer before I even respond. Another thing that I have learned to do is to teach people my boundaries. And this goes to boundaries. And, to teach people your boundaries, you have to know what they are and you have to abide by them. And if you teach people that you don't respond to emails after 6 p.m. or whatever you deem reasonable, then we're quick learners, so we can definitely adapt to that. So those are some tools or tricks that I could employ. But for me at this point in life, because I'm not great at it, I've never have been great at it, I do weigh the inquiry to make sure that I am a good team player. And if it actually is something urgent, then I'll respond accordingly. And if I read it and it can wait, then I'll make sure to allow it to wait. So
yeah. It's not easy because we're in this hyperconnectivity landscape that people expect that they can reach you anytime. And it is important to establish what your boundaries are. I know for me, typically on the weekends, I will continue to check my email for emergencies. Just because of the nature of the work that I do, there are times when, they're good, that they need me. And so I will check it. But they also know, like, sometimes I will get an email and I'm like, oh, this is not an emergency. I'm responding on Monday. And I don't feel bad about that. If they really need me, they know how to reach me on my phone. Email is not the best way to reach me on the weekend, just because I have a life and, I want to have a full life with my family. So another school of thought, people will say, well, I email you when it's convenient for me. Don't feel pressure when you get my email. Just respond when it's convenient for you. And I understand that. I understand that school of thought because, like, for me, there are times when it's not until 10 o'clock at night that I can respond to an email. And I certainly don't expect that you're going to be up that late on your email. But there's also this other school of thought. It's like, well, if you send an email at that time of night, that it's going to put pressure on someone to think they have to respond to you. So schedule your email so that it can be, if you're going to send it that late, that it will arrive to that person in a reasonable time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to be respectful of each other. But if you are at a point where you feel like you're not able to rest and check out, then you need to erect some boundaries that actually give you that peace. Like, I sent my president an email the other day about all the places that I'm going to be, my whereabouts for the next several months, just so that he understands. Like, and I put reachable by phone or email. One of those weeks we're going on vacation, not reachable. So that they know, like, I put the boundary there. Don't look for me. Even, like, if it's absolutely an emergency, reach me by phone. Don't email me because I'm not checking it. So, if you need to block out that time, don't feel bad about it. But I think it's important to communicate what that is. Like, hey, guys, this weekend, me and my kids are going to be, I'm not going to be reachable. And as long as you communicate those boundaries, then I think you're in good shape to have them and observe them. So, don't feel bad, because we all have personal time and we should honor it.
No, I think that's well said, and I think this is a good segue into the Against My Better Judgment section of the show. So take it away, Danelle.
Okay.
Oh my, you're making me nervous.
I don't have a big bomb dropper today.
Okay.
But I got a new car.
Oh, I wish we had a picture to pop up to feed into this one.
Yes. Not only did I get a new car, I got a minivan. And I have two against my better judgments. The first is, I really should have got one sooner. I don't.
When y'all 5 deep.
Yes, we were. So what ended up happening, I shared on this podcast before, that I got in a little fender bender with a car, with a tire that hit me on the interstate. And so for 2 weeks I had a minivan, and I was like, while they were fixing my car. And so then after I got my car back, I was like, oh, we had gotten spoiled. Like, it just was so helpful to have the room, the ability to get the kids in and out much easier. And so, like, we started, like, really thinking about, okay, it's probably time. And the other part about being against my better judgment is that I really loved the car that I traded in for this minivan. And against my better judgment, I feel like I let that car be part of my identity, because I felt like there was just a sense of, like, losing a part of myself and going from the car that I really loved to this minivan. It felt like there was no longer, like, I didn't have anything that was mine anymore. And so I was just like, I had to, like, note? I mean, yeah, that is mine. But now
you did lose something. Now I can mourn with you, because you do lose something when you go from a car to a minivan.
It's like, what do you lose?
Just some, like,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you're like cool, like
you're
like mom cool.
Yeah, like the car that I had, and I'm not going to tell you what that was, but the car that I had, like people would tell me, "Oh, I really like your car." Like, I get compliments on it, and it was the first car, like the first car that I actually bought, that I bought for myself, because I had my first 2 cars ever were cars that people had given to me. So the car that I first bought was a Honda Accord, black. It was fine. It was great. But it was very utilitarian. I didn't want a high car note. I wanted a reliable vehicle, so that fit the bill. But this car that I bought, that after my Accord, it was like a car that I picked out. Like, I really loved it, and it was my push present, after I had baby number 2. So I was just like, okay, like, I really love that car. It had all the bells and whistles, and like I said, I didn't realize that I had internalized that feeling, and then to let that go and trade it in for a minivan where people are looking at, like, when they look at me, they're like, oh, that's a
How
mom
many?
over there. You
How
know,
many coming out?
how many kids she have, you know.
You don't get volunteered. Well, you can either get volunteered not to drive or to drive because you have the space.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, and it's almost like I wouldn't even let myself really be happy about the minivan because I just was like,
It looks good on you, though.
does it?
It does.
Okay.
The minivan looks good on you.
I mean,
It
the
does.
one we got, it's amazing. I had, I had a good car, like a, not top of the line car before, but it had all the bells and whistles. So this one, I was like, I'm not losing a bell or a whistle when I go to this minivan.
You gained some.
So yes, it's got great gas mileage. Like, now that is good because I drive 50 minutes to and from work, and I only filled up. I filled up at the end of the week.
Okay.
And that's for the first time. Usually I had to fill up like every 3 to 4 days. But we went from Friday to Friday with the whole tank of gas for
Do you
this
talk
car.
with your hands?
I do.
Okay.
So, we went from Friday to Friday. So that was unheard of. So we're getting great gas mileage. It's great for our family. And, one day I'm going to have my dream car.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And this will be a phase. This is the phase of life that we're in right now. But against my better judgment, we didn't get it sooner because of the reasons I'm telling you, because I really kind of let it attach to me and who I am. And then against my better judgment, I let it attach to me. Like, I'm typically not a person that, cares about things like that, but letting it go really let me know, like, actually you did care about that. And so, like, girl, you need this van. Move along.
Yep.
So we in and out, we in these streets.
Yeah, we are.
Bending corners.
We are outside.
In our minivan. Holla if you see me.
All right.
So that's it. So what is our takeaway?
A lot of things, just learning how to be a good sport is important because in it you learn just how to be a good person.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Again, I just think a theme that we've heard a lot over these last 3 seasons is, 3 seasons, is that about boundaries.
Yep.
And it sounds like our listeners are really navigating that world with us. So what about you?
I think just be a good sport, take your wins and your losses because you're going to have both, and be graceful in either scenario. And sometimes your wins are, accepting where you are in your life, and you might lose something, but you'll gain something too, and just be at peace with that. So
yeah, I love it.
Yep. So thanks for joining us for this conversation. If you want us to talk about your boundaries and how you can better navigate them, send us an email at againstmybetterjudgmentpod@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod.
Yeah. And, we appreciate you as viewers and listeners. But if you really liked what you've heard, anything you hear, just give us a thumbs up, a heart. But if there is a star, it's only 5 stars for us. So we appreciate in advance you giving us 5 stars, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next time.
Bye, y'all.